The sheriff's cruiser rolled up my dirt driveway, red and blue lights slicing through the dusk like a warning. I was knee-deep in mending a fence when I saw her, Karen, perched on my porch like she owned the place, her manicured nails tapping impatiently on her phone. She called 911, claiming I was harassing her by refusing to sell my family's ranch. Her reason? She needed it for her son's wedding. My land, my home, for a one-day party. I could feel my blood boil as I wiped sweat from my brow, staring at this woman who thought she could bully her way into my life's work. Karen wasn't from around here. She'd moved to our small Montana town a year ago, flashing her wealth like a peacock's tail. Her gated mansion, her imported SUV, her constant complaints about our backwards way she made it clear she thought she was above us. I'd heard the stories. She'd screamed at the diner staff for serving her decaf, demanded the local park rename a trail after her, and now she'd set her sights on my 50-acre ranch. It wasn't just land to me. It was my father's legacy, where I'd scattered his ashes under the old oak by the creek. She didn't care. To her, it was just a venue for her son's lavish wedding, and she wasn't taking no for an answer. It started a month ago when Karen showed up unannounced, her heels sinking into the mud as she surveyed my property like a vulture. "This is perfect," she'd said, not even looking at me. "Rustic, but we can fix that. I'll pay you enough to start over somewhere else." I told her the ranch wasn't for sale. She laughed like I was joking and offered double. I said no again. That's when her smile turned cold. "You'll regret this," she hissed before storming off. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Karen's retaliation was swift and vicious. She started by spreading lies around town, claiming I was running an unsafe operation, scaring off my seasonal workers. Then she filed complaints with the county, saying my barn violated codes it had passed for decades. When that didn't work, she escalated. I woke up one morning to find my garden late mother's pride trashed, rose bushes uprooted, trellises snapped, and my irrigation system clogged with gravel. I had no proof it was her, but I knew. Her smug grin at the town meeting later that week confirmed it. She thought she could break me. She thought wrong. The real shock came when I caught her in the act. I'd installed a cheap security camera after the garden incident, hidden in the barn's eaves. Late one night, the motion sensor pinged my phone. There she was, in a silk tracksuit, sneaking onto my property with a pair of shears, hacking at my fences and tossing rocks into my horse trough. I didn't call the cops. I wanted to confront her myself. But before I could, a new player entered the scene. Mrs. Alma, the 80-year-old widow who lived down the road. She'd been out walking her dog and saw Karen's SUV parked suspiciously. Alma, bless her, wasn't one to stay quiet. She marched right up to Karen, her cane wagging like a weapon, and demanded to know what she was doing. Karen, caught off guard, snapped, "Mind your own business, old lady." That was her mistake. Alma recorded the whole thing on her ancient flip phone. The next morning, I took Alma's video to the sheriff. Karen, predictably, flipped the script. She called 911, claiming I was the one harassing her, refusing her generous offer and threatening her safety. That's why the cruiser was here now, dust settling around it as Deputy Ramirez stepped out. Karen launched into her performance, tears on cue, pointing at me like I was a criminal. "He's unstable," she cried. "He's holding on to this land out of spite. My son deserves his dream wedding." Ramirez, who'd known my family for years, looked unimpressed but listened. I stayed calm, my heart pounding, and handed him my phone with the security footage and Alma's video queued up. Ramirez watched in silence. Karen's face went pale as the grainy footage played, her slashing my fences, her sneering at Alma, her throwing gravel like a petulant child. The deputy's jaw tightened. "Ma'am," he said, turning to Karen, "this doesn't look like harassment to me. It looks like vandalism." Karen stammered, her designer purse slipping from her shoulder. "That's not me. It's edited," she insisted, but her voice cracked. Ramirez wasn't buying it. He asked me if I want to press charges. I said yes, but not before I looked her in the eye. "This land is my home," I told her. "You don't get to take it because you think you're entitled." The confrontation that followed was a spectacle. Karen's mask of superiority crumbled as Ramirez cuffed her mascara running as she shrieked about her rights. Townsfolk had gathered by now, drawn by the lights and the drama. Alma stood at the front, her dog yapping, her face lit with righteous glee. Karen's downfall wasn't just her arrest, it was the humiliation. Word of her vandalism spread like wildfire. Her son, a quiet kid who'd never seemed like his mother, showed up the next day to apologize. He didn't want the wedding here anymore, he said. He was mortified. I felt for him, but I couldn't help a grim satisfaction watching Karen's plans collapse. The final blow came at the town hall meeting a week later. Karen, out on bail, showed up to clear her name. She didn't expect Alma. The old woman, frail but fierce, stood up and played her video for the whole room. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's lies unraveled as neighbors she belittled waitresses, farmers, shopkeepers spoke up about her bullying. The mayor, fed up, announced a fine for her vandalism and a formal apology to the community. Karen sat there, silent, her usual arrogance replaced by a tight-lipped scowl. She lost more than her wedding venue lost her grip on the town she thought she could control. In the end, my ranch stood untouched, the oak by the creek still whispering my father's memory. I rebuilt the garden, planting new roses with Alma's help. She became a regular visitor, bringing her dog and stories of her own fights against Karen's back in her day. The town rallied around me, offering tools, seeds, even a potluck to celebrate. Karen? She sold her mansion and left town quietly, her son moving away to start fresh. The ranch was mine, not just in deed, but in spirit, a testament to standing your ground. This story isn't just about one woman's greed, it's about what happens when entitlement meets resilience. I kept my home, but it took a fight, a camera, and an 80-year-old firebrand to make it happen. What do you think wears the line between standing up for yourself and letting pride cloud your judgment? Share your thoughts. I'm listening.